name is Megan O'Russell.
And my name is Christopher Russell, and welcome back to Page by Page, Writing the Book in Real Time. It is episode 11, and thank you so much for bearing with us. This episode is going to be a day late. We are actually recording this right now on Wednesday, and we'll be putting it up later. Hurricane prep just took a little bit more than we were expecting. This is our first hurricane. We've lived in Florida off and on for over a decade.
We've had hurricanes. This is just the first one that's been like... That's like coming for us.
Correct. So, yeah, what I mean by this is our first hurricane is this is the first one that we will actually... Like, the eye will be passing very close to us, yes. As it is predicted right now.
But don't worry, Mom. We are still not in an evacuation zone.
We're not.
We have no flash flood warnings, nothing like that. Milton is currently beginning outside. Mm-hmm. So you may hear more meows than normal during this because our cats are freaking out and we can't kick them out of the podcast room because they're too terrified right now. Yeah. So sorry if there are any meows. And I do have a phone with me because this is my tornado warning system. So
because we're currently under a tornado watch until 9 p.m.
Yeah. So I just want the buzzy box here. So in case it turns into a warning because something is coming for us, I just want the buzzy box. So
and also it's worth noting that as far as tornadoes go, we both went to college in Oklahoma. So
we're like used to tornadoes.
And then I also grew up in West Tennessee, which oddly enough, you wouldn't think of that as a tornado alley, but it's like Tornado Alley level 2. Like it's not at the top.
Yeah.
Like Kansas and Oklahoma are. But man, one night, this is going on a tangent. I promise I'll come back to it. But one night in my senior year, I had 3 tornadoes come through my hometown in Tennessee. And it was like, I think it was 2 F3s and an F4. It was intense. It was bad. So bad that they actually had to cancel the rest of the school year. And we just kind of graduated. It was like,
hopefully this will not be like that.
No,
the assumption is that we are going to lose power. So the attempt is going to be to get this episode fully up before we lose power, and then if we keep power longer, then we're going to start uploading some of the videos on YouTube finally.
Yes, we are
because we are not going to be able to leave home for probably 3 or 4 days because while we are not in a flood zone, our surrounding roads are.
Yeah.
So we are going to be in here for a while.
Yeah, it's going to take a second. Okay, so all of this has made me want a beverage. How about you?
Oh, I definitely want a beverage.
So this is we are staying with Elysian. I don't know. But it's that can you tell that we got the pumpkin sampler pack? This is the...
You're okay, baby girl.
I know. Meanie, the first cat that we brought into our lives is currently rubbing against both of our shins. You poor thing.
She usually leaves us alone during podcast time, but she is
very needy right now.
She is very upset.
They know. Yeah, they have a sixth sense about these things. Yeah. But this is the Elysian Punkachino. It is a pumpkin coffee ale, not porter or stout, an ale. So that's actually going to be better for me.
I'm really
Cheers. Well, we'll find out. Oop. Oh, that is really nice. I like that one better than the last one.
Yeah.
That's good. That's almost like...
It does not taste like a scratch and stiff.
No,
sniff,
and I think that's their snurf. I think that's because it's not a stout or a porter. Because usually when you have those intense flavors in stouts and porters, I don't know if it's like the lactose, like the milk sugar that they put into it, but it gets really like...
I don't know, but this is really good.
This is good. All right.
Okay.
So is there anything else we wanted to address before we do the previously on? Which you're still going to have your drums because I'm not playing around with electricity being around for that long.
That's fair. Okay, so it'll just be drums for this week. But then just think, we're still going to have more music to look forward to.
We will have more. Yeah, thank you.
This podcast is about creating a work in progress. Oh, there's like a little bit of sunshine out. But it's about creating a work in progress. And, updating the music as we go is part of that.
Indeed it is. We updated the wall for the first few episodes. Now we're updating the music.
Yes. Before we do the previously on, did we need to talk about the time I freaked you out when we were first dating?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, let's go ahead and hit that.
We promised to tell the story on the last episode.
We did promise to tell the story.
So I grew up in this big old Victorian
We're
inn.
Still together.
We are still together. And
we
did haunted programs in the inn. And there were all kinds of stories, even without the haunted programs. There were already all kinds of haunted stories about the house because the woman who had lived in the house she had been in love with the younger brother, but then her parents had made her marry the older brother, and she thought the younger brother was going to rescue her from the altar, and he rode up to the church, but he didn't rescue her. He rode west and died. Up. And then
you should write that
story. It's already happened. Why would I write it? It's true.
Well, but I don't know. All right, I'm sorry.
That's for biographers. But so then she lived this tragic life, and then she died in the house. So then there's like her rumored ghost story, and then there's like other things because the church across the street burned down. And anyway, so there were all these rumors. And Chris is easy. He's an easy target sometimes.
Thanks.
And so when he was coming
so
to
much.
stay in our house the first time,
What does your beer taste like?
all I did was present the stories about the house. Stop drinking. Oh, gross. Don't slurp. So all I did was present the stories about the house as if they were factual. And I added one tiny detail.
Yeah, that was completely fabricated.
That the
'Cause you're
wife
a
who was
jerk.
in love with the younger brother but married the older brother, that every once in a while I would find her standing silently at the foot of my bed while I slept. And I just presented all of this as casual fact.
And then I refused to
And he
sleep in that part of the house
refused
for
to
years.
Sleep in that part of the house.
I wouldn't
for
do it.
Years.
I wouldn't. I was like, no, put me in the new part of the house. No, I'll put it on a cot. Like,
he would sleep on the living room couch rather
on a cot. A lot of times, I would have a cot.
He would sleep on a cot rather than in one of the beds in the inn. He
correct.
wouldn't sleep in the inn. He would huddle in a cot.
Well, especially because of so she didn't bring up Louisa, who is creepy.
the one who was in love with the younger
Oh,
brother.
are you serious? That was her.
You never figured that out?
I probably knew at one point, but Louisa just on her own freaked me out. So I didn't need all that backstory. Like they had a painting of her, which that's a whole other story that we could tell sometime. It's spooky season, so why don't we tell that next time?
Okay, so leave the
portrait.
The Louisa.
Y'all, that one was actually haunted. Okay, like I'm not even like I used to feel very kind of like about these things. Like maybe I believe in ghosts, maybe I don't. And then on our visit to Portugal, I literally got like bumped by a ghost, and Megan can.
No, you got
attest.
your ass smacked.
I didn't get my ass smacked. No, they smacked the back of my backpack. It was literally, there was nobody standing behind me. I wasn't anywhere near a wall, and my backpack shifted up on me forcefully. It wasn't just like it went, like shrugged a little bit. You know, it wasn't like I had involuntarily made a movement. And no, this thing got bumped behind me, and I went, what?
No, I saw the backpack move.
You saw it move?
I thought you had backed into a wall.
No, I thought I had too, but I was nowhere near one. And then we found out that this was in a restaurant in Óbidos, and we found out, and I'm sorry if we shared this before, I don't think we have, but we found out that it had been a prison at one point. And I was like, well, that's enough to convince me. All right, I'm a believer now.
What I thought had happened, like a stanchion, like for ropes.
Right.
I thought you were backing into a stanchion, which is why I reached behind
But there literally
you.
wasn't anything there, right?
No, there wasn't anything there.
That's weird. I don't like
thought
that.
you had backed into something.
Especially because I also work in a Titanic museum, so like that I just don't like now kind of feeling like maybe ghosts are real, and I don't know. Anyway, it's fine. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and do our previously on, shall we? All right, cue music.
Previously on Sketchbook of a Wayward Seer. After her second day of school, where unfortunately Ella Day's school caught fire, just the faculty lounge, so not that bad. And she went for coffee with her new friends to hear all about her new life and do group bonding, only to be dragged away from the bonding by angry werewolf Violet.
Insert kidnapped. She was kidnapped.
Okay, yes. And Violet did break her nose and her finger and probably, I don't know, do some permanent damage
She
to her
didn't mean to
shoulder.
break her finger. She did break
the finger was an accident. From there, the damage was purposeful. But all of this damage was done for Violet to threaten Ella Day into helping her find someone, or else with the ever-escalating threat battle ending in Violet saying, I don't care what it takes. I will burn the world. I will make you do this. Not in terms quite that dramatic, but it's I don't care what the stakes are. You're helping me, or I will screw you over.
I don't think I would want to cross a desperate werewolf. A werewolf who literally doesn't care what happens to them. The fact that, well, she even says that she's not scared of reapers. And we know from Ella that reapers are to be feared.
Yeah, but the thing is, Ella also, just because Ella knows about reapers doesn't mean that Violet is as familiar with the reality.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because Violet's grown up in a pack on a mountain.
Right.
Who is on Blackwood territory. So they have a pretty sweet setup that doesn't really...
So they wouldn't have a reason to have a run-in with the reapers.
No.
Okay.
So it is more like the boogeyman to her.
I mean, okay. So I know that we're not at the point of this where we talk about this stuff, but you know what? Actually, I'll just bring this. I will write this down. I'll write this down. So you go ahead and wrap up your previously.
So then Ella Day arrives home, goes with the broken nose, the broken finger, the blood all over herself, goes into her room and begins the work of trying to remember what she had, all the details of what she had seen in her vision of the dead girl on the cracked concrete floor.
Right. And then we switch to the Watcher. And the Watcher's close enough to see the black eyes. It's messed up. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. So then that ends, and we are now in the next morning. Yes?
This is only day, we're on Wednesday of her school week at this point.
And we're a third of the way through the book.
We're a third of the way through the book, and she hasn't even made it through her first week.
Oh, poor Ella. You love torturing your characters. Okay, great. Let's see. How do you torture Ella in this chapter? Okay. All right. So, Sketchbook of a Wayward Seer by Megan O. Russell. Chapter 10. The ache in my nose shattered my pathetic hope of secrecy before I'd even opened my eyes the next morning. Each breath added a little extra thrum to the pain, like my own damn face had decided to taunt me. "Stupid Sybil punched by a werewolf," a voice like a cartoon witch, or a golem, scratched through my barely awake brain, calling forth the day's fresh supply of self-loathing. I can't help it. The stupid, it just reminds me of the stupid fat hobbitses. What, can I keep it? Can I keep that? I'm keeping the voice. Okay, so...
You know what? There's a hurricane barreling towards us. You do whatever voice makes you happy,
so
honey.
Much. All right.
You got the sandbags. You do whatever you want.
Sybil punched by a werewolf. A voice like a cartoon witch scratched through my barely awake brain, calling forth the day's fresh supply of self-loathing. Can't remember her visions. Can't play nice with the humans. Can't control her minds. If you want to know what the actual words say, make sure that you subscribe on Substack or Kindle Vella. I rolled over, catching my newly set pinky on the covers, sparking a nice sharp zing of pain that slammed my mind into full awareness, banishing that awful voice, leaving me awkwardly grateful to a broken bone. A storm had rolled in overnight, keeping the bedroom dim even though it was well past sunrise. With the lights off, my pinky could almost pass for normal, a little pudgy and a little discolored, but nothing shocking enough to cause questions. I took a deep breath through my nose. Pain looped back behind my eyes. Perfect. Using my non-wolf smashed hand, I threw the covers back and jumped out of bed, not giving myself time to sink into questioning how long a Sybil could refuse to move before having to worry about bed sores. I tossed on clothes, grabbing one of my 5 tank tops, then the sweater with sleeves long enough to mostly hide my hands, jeans, and the only boots I owned that had a prayer of surviving walking the path down to school in the mud. The fleeting thought of packing a dry pair of shoes to wear to class whooshed away as I caught sight of myself in the bathroom mirror. Shit. I gripped the front of the sink, leaning toward my reflection. The splotchy yellowish green of a healing bruise circled my eyes, like a fucking raccoon from the Emerald fucking City. Shitty fuckity fucks. I scrunched my eyes closed, letting the jumbled part of my mind focus on the nose pain, while the rest of me sorted through possible solutions for a great Sybil healing conundrum. Because Sybils don't heal as quickly as fae, werewolves, or vampires, nor do we heal at the near-human speed of a witch who chooses not to use magical intervention. No. Sybils land in the awkward middle. Not healing quickly enough to take a nasty-ass gut wound and keep fighting, but healing too quickly to hang out in the hospital recovering from surgery without doctors getting excited about a medical miracle. My parents had snatched me out of the hospital against medical orders a few times as a kid. They'd always pack up and bolt for another state right after. Had to make sure child services didn't come to check on a kid with stitches in her side just to find a little girl running around with a well-healed scar. But Violet had the courtesy to break my face in private, granting choices along with pain and bruising. Option 1, curl back up in bed, refuse to move ever again. Option 2, pile on makeup. Try to avoid absolute clown look. Hope all Laureldale High students have shitty eyesight. Option 3, re-break my nose. Give it a fresh injury look for the day. Keep breaking my nose every day for the next week to maintain proper bruising. Option 4, run out of the house before Kate sees face. Hide in the woods all day. Hope face finishes healing before having to come back at the end of the day. Or, fuck it. I dug a hair tie from the still unsorted mess on the bathroom counter and headed for the kitchen, twisting my hair into a bun, putting my facial damage on full display. The legs of Kate's chair rasped against the floor as she shot to her feet, starting to speak before I'd even finished opening the door. "Morning, hun?" Her tone held a soothing lull, like she was testing to see if I was ready to try sitting up after being sick for a really long time. "Did you sleep? Oh, honey!" Kate's eyes went wide, locking on my nose as she bustled around the table. "Sweetie, what the hell happened?" She pulled me toward the kitchen light. "Do you want the truth?" Kate froze, her lips just a little bit parted. Then the corners of her mouth slowly sank, as though the weight of keeping my sad ass alive had already crushed her soul. "I'd like the truth." Kate held up a hand. "Unless it's something you don't feel comfortable sharing, or something you, as a Sybil, think I shouldn't know." Cue the wrinkles on her brow I'd already come to recognize as a sign of her panicking about screwing me up even more than survival already had. "Werewolf Violet gave me a ride home from school and broke my nose." And Kate clicked back into startled wide-eyed mode. "Violet Nikolic did what?" "Broke my pinky, too." I pushed up my sweater sleeve, showing Kate. "Why?" Kate took my hand, holding it closer to the light like she was looking for evidence. "Misunderstanding." "About?" Kate narrowed her eyes at me, giving me an almost parental glare. If it wouldn't have taken my last minuscule shred of put-togetheredness, I would have told her how proud I was. All the parenting books she'd been binging were paying off. "Ella." Kate even had a nice snap to her tone. "Tell her everything. Make Violet her problem." "Personality conflict," I shrugged. "Meaning?" Maybe I needed to hide Kate's parenting books. "Or you could just fucking—" "She's just a dick," I said, cementing my status as a self-destructive mess by not turning the fucking problem over to the fucking adult now in charge of my fucking life. "A dick and a bruised nose don't—" Kate's eyes went a different kind of wide. She bit her lips together, a low coming from her throat like the rumble could banish all innuendos from the kitchen. Kate's awkward anxiety sparked a semi-selfish kind of humor in the far depths of the exhausted overwhelm currently crushing my soul. Not enough of a flare to toss off the weight, just enough to make getting through the day seem less impossible. "How did your face become a victim of this personality conflict?" Kate's tone crisped to the precision of a librarian in an old movie. Her fist. "Ella." Same librarian tone. "Dumb wolf shit." I softened my knees, tightening my core, steadying myself like Kate was preparing to pounce, rather than holding my gaze with suspicion-narrowed eyes. "Ella." The parenting books had to go. "She's a witch, not a wolf, Ella. Lean into the lore, Ella." "She pulled some dominant shit. I told her to fuck off. Now we're good." "Fighting is never good." Kate glanced toward the table. I followed her gaze. A copy of The Troubled Teen lay beside her coffee. "It's fine," I said. "I'm fine." Kate wrinkled her nose. "Really?" I took her hand with my non-damaged one. "I can deal with werewolf angst. I should be doing something." I hated that I should feel lucky to have landed with Kate. I hated that part of me did. "Can you fix my face?" I asked. "Not having to re-break my nose to keep the bruises fresh would be a huge help." Kate closed her eyes. I wondered if she had a photographic memory, and if she did, what parenting rule she was rereading. Kate had a subtle kind of beauty that wouldn't catch your eye if you passed her on the street. But if you actually looked at her, ash blonde hair, full lips, and a well-defined jaw created a radiant elegance. The way the kitchen light accented the worried pinch between her eyebrows, her portrait belonged in a gallery, the piece titled Reluctant Guardian. "Hop up on the table, kiddo." "Thanks." I gave her hand an extra meaningful squeeze, then moved the 3 plates of breakfast options from the table to the counter while Kate ran up to her study for supplies. I'd been on her table enough times to know not to bash my head on the hanging light as I settled in for a Kate's Spa special. I'm not sure if it was her way of blocking my vision to calm me like a damn horse, something to do with magic, or just an extra fancy flourish, but Kate always started her work by laying a warm cloth over my eyes. The heat soothed the ache in my nose on contact. Without my even trying, my body began to relax down into the table, my shoulders releasing into a more natural position than I'd achieved in months. Kate hummed as she worked, only stopping to murmur words too soft for me to hear. A pungent scent of something between mulled wine and pine sap filled the kitchen as tingles spread through my body, converging on my nose and pinky, with smaller clusters of sensation forming in my shoulder and knees, though I couldn't actually remember when I might have hurt my knees. The tingle started subtle, just enough for my mind to recognize its presence, then grew to the kind of buzzing you feel with the shock machine game at a carnival. Not fun, but fine. I shooed my thoughts away from the sensation, veering past the vision of the dead girl I'd spent the night before trying to remember, and dodging around Noah and the knife, to reach a nice vague anxiety about how I was supposed to get my books back since they'd been abandoned in the gym along with hundreds of other students' books. The tingling in my knees peaked and faded, then did the same in my shoulder. But the buzzing in my finger and face intensified, growing into the same nauseating, nails on a chalkboard but inside my body feeling I'd had when Dad drew the tattoo on my back. My eyes watered as the sting sliced through my nose, digging awkwardly close to my brain. I splayed my hands out on the table, pressing my palms to the wood. Shooting past trying to remember if I'd actually written my name in my books, my thoughts latched onto Violet, the fucking nosebreaker. Violet, whose breaks I was not allowed to cut. Violet, who was dumb enough to threaten a Sybil. Not dumb, desperate. As the buzz threatened to tip the balance from annoying pain to screaming pain, the feeling ebbed away, leaving my body hollow, like the shell of my person didn't know how to process the lack of pain. Don't forget to sit up slowly. Kate pressed her hand to my now werewolf damage-free shoulder. And I'm sorry if you're not hungry, but you have to force down some actual breakfast and lunch. Your body just did a lot of work, and you need to show it respect and appreciation. I laid my hand on top of Kate's. I appreciate you, Kate. My voice came out almost normal. Tears prickled in my eyes. Kate squeezed my shoulder and slid her hand out from under mine. Do you want eggs, bacon, yogurt, toast? An egg would be great. 2 eggs coming right up. I stayed on the table for an extra minute, making sure the warmth... Oh, sorry, just kidding. I'm going to take that second to take a drink. Would I get to do that?
You were doing a really good job.
I was doing a really good job. I was actually very proud of myself.
It's kind of creeping me out how clear the sky out is. Or
the sky outside? Yeah. No, I agree with that. I agree.
Like it's a little freaky looking.
No. We're playing with zooming.
Don't play with zooming.
No. I accidentally... there we go.
Okay.
We're good. Okay.
But is it a bad thing for the sky to look that clear, or this is just where we are?
I have no idea. I haven't lived through a hurricane quite like this.
Well, the buzzy phone hasn't gone off to tell us to run yet, so we're just going to keep recording.
Yeah, that's good. I like it.
Yeah.
All right, continuing
We're doing
onward.
exactly what we have been told to do.
Yes, I know.
We're just going to keep doing that.
Do you hear that, Leslie? It's okay. We're okay.
Leslie's my mom. Okay, continue.
All right, here we go. All right.
You're okay, baby girl.
Stayed on. Yeah. Okay.
No, I have a panic cat on my face.
I know.
Okay, I stayed up.
I stayed on the table for an extra minute, making sure the warm cloth had destroyed any evidence of my tears. Kate hovered as I ate, not in a literal witch way, in an I'm making sure you're not hiding your food, you 5-year-old faced with Brussels sprouts kind of way. By the time I'd eaten enough to satisfy Kate, the rain had gotten too heavy for me to walk to school. Not because I couldn't hike down a mountain in a storm, but because that's the kind of shit that would send Kate running back to the parenting section of the bookstore with a bonus prize of winning me some extra time with the guidance counselor. It's just a truck, Ella. Objects are objects, Ella. The self-platitudes did nothing to help as I sprinted through the rain, tossing the truck's door open and rammed the keys into the ignition before my brain could push toward panic.
Tossed the truck's door.
Wait, what?
It's fine.
What
It's fine. It was a grammatical error. You read it wrong.
I said tossing, didn't I? I'm so sorry.
It's quick. It's good.
Okay, great.
Continue.
All right, moving on.
Lightning.
If you would like to read the actual words, go and... Sorry, I thought that I would revisit that from... Okay. Lightning split the sky, the jagged flash shooting straight toward town. The thunder resonated in my chest as a second bolt streaked down at Laureldale. Awesome! Let's go toward it.
We didn't actually insert that sound effect.
That was kind of awesome. Good timing.
Yeah,
Thank you, Chuck. Awesome. Let's go toward it. I put on my seatbelt and headed down the drive. Kate maintained all the roads on her property, even the ones that cut through to reach the other Ethereans' homes farther northwest on the mountain. Including fucking Violet's family, I'm sure. A fresh round of thunder warned me of the lightning the canopy of trees had hidden from view. More chest-shaking thunder. And more. The truck's tires didn't give me any trouble until I'd crossed over Willow Creek and onto the town roads. Muck filled every dip in the road, jostling the truck hard enough I clenched my jaw to keep my teeth from clacking together every time my ass slammed back into the seat. I kept both hands at the very bottom of the steering wheel, driving in a way that would have freaked Dad out, avoiding Gran's road rage-worn hand dents that marred every part of the wheel drivers are supposed to use. The faint sound of sirens caught my ear as I crossed the first bridge over the Widow's Run River. I glanced downstream, but didn't spot any flashing lights. Not the school, I whispered to no one. Lightning did not hit the school. Lightning is not allowed to hit the fucking school. A knot twisted between my lungs. It couldn't have been anything from one of my visions. None of my visions had had lightning. I hadn't missed anything. But what if there had been a storm and I hadn't held on to that detail as I'd fallen through scene after scene? What if lightning had killed the girl on the cracked floor? What if Noah... Stop it! I slammed my hand against the steering wheel, banging out a rhythm to match my words. You can't go there. Do not fucking do this. Think, Ella. Breathe, Ella. Asshole wolf. Asshole nose-breaking wolf. Wolf who wants my help or else. The knot in my chest softened as I fixated on finding a way to make sure the wolf understood there was no chance in fuck I was helping her, without my ending up back on the kitchen table for another spa special. Coming up with a decent plan took me all the way across the second Widow's Run Bridge. Convincing myself that the part of me that thought the plan felt too close to leaping off a cliff needed to shut the hell up got me all the way to school. I parked in the open space closest to the school entrance, turned off the truck, and, for a minute, just sat, listening to the sound of the rain striking glass and metal. Thousands upon thousands of tiny assaults pelting from the sky, none of them doing the truck any harm as they slid away. I closed my eyes, blocking out the voices of the students and rumbles and splashes of the other cars in the parking lot, pretending I was smart enough to know the difference between raindrop troubles. Oh, there's some thunder. There, you were worried about the sky being too clear, honey. I closed my eyes, blocking out the voices of the students and rumbles and splashes of the other cars in the parking lot, pretending I was smart enough to know the difference between raindrop troubles and lightning troubles that pelted from the sky to fry your ass or, at the very least, leave you irrevocably maimed. Mind, body, magic. It doesn't matter which part of you the lightning shatters. You stay broken. I opened my eyes in time to watch lightning streak across the sky, thankfully not striking the ground. I get it. Shoving my keys and phone into my pockets, I hopped out of the truck and bolted for the school, not needing a second warning from the sky to remember how quickly raindrop troubles can turn into lightning troubles if you just sit in the storm pretending shit can't go sideways. I hunched against the rain as I ran, paying for shielding my face with a freezing drip of water rolling down the neck of my sweater. By the time I made it into the building, the cold wet had soaked through to my shoulders. Good job, Ella. Couldn't have worn a raincoat, Ella? I stopped in the middle of the hall, my body forgetting how to move as my mind spiraled into 3 dark places at once. 1, I didn't have a raincoat. Not anymore. 2, I'd never bought myself a coat. I didn't even know how they were sized. 3, if Kate found out I'd spent the day cold and wet, her guardian anxiety level would rocket from ulcer-inducing to, why did the witch die of a heart attack before 40? The prickly feeling of being stared at knocked my mind away from the spirals and back to the corridor, where 4, at least 4 easy to spot, students had stopped to gawk at me shivering in the middle of the hall. A girl who looked like a freshman took a timid step toward me. You okay? Yeah. I pushed the stray, sopping hairs from my forehead. Is there a place in town to buy a raincoat? Like 2, I think, the girl said. Then I'm golden, thanks. Great! She gave a little bounce on her toes, like a puppy who'd been called a good girl, as I gave her a grateful nod and headed for my locker, cutting around 2 guys who had stopped to watch just in case the freaky new girl chose that moment to crumble. Not today, assholes. Needing a coat had shifted from a potential panic attack to a fucking opportunity, and it felt really damn good. That was our cat meanie. You're okay, honey.
You're okay, I know. I'm baby.
Even though suppressing my shivering tensed the muscles around my spine, and the lingering, acrid stench of smoke, chemicals, and damp from the staff room fire sloshed sick in my stomach, a long-forgotten feeling of something close to victory made breathing a little easier as I caught sight of Paige, waiting in front of my locker like a predictable goddess of mercy. Then I noticed the poorly muted anger in her eyes and followed her glare right to Principal Harrison. Fucker face. I tucked myself beside a boy not quite as tall as Jason, using his sloth-like stride to buy myself a moment to summon an accurate portrayal of excitement. A matter for debate, Principal Harrison said. Neither is the fact that you approved the Welcome Week schedule, Paige said, which I am not trying to alter, Harrison said. She has a welcome throne waiting for her in homeroom. Paige's voice crisped to a level of authoritative displeasure Harrison could learn from. The welcome throne is a part of Welcome Week. She gestured to the 3 envelopes on my locker. Choosing her next path is an integral part of Welcome Week. Miss Paxman, Harrison said. I dodged out from behind the giant sloth, popping into Paige's view in time to stop her from saying, at least judging from the height to which her eyebrows had ascended, "Don't you Miss Paxman me." "Paige!" The cheer in my voice annoyed me. "Tone it down." "I was hoping you'd be here." I reached around her, tearing an envelope from my locker without actually reading the front. Paige gave a giddy little clap, all signs of the matron of wrath gone. "I know you've already done so much for me putting together this welcome week, but is there any way you might have time to do a little shopping with me after school? I want to buy a new coat, and I'm not even sure if I can find one downtown, let alone where the best place to look might be." I strung the whole thing together, blocking Harrison's attempt to interject. "Alone, it sounds a little overwhelming, but if you came with me, it might be fun, and we can absolutely do a downtown tour." I might as well have handed Paige a winning lottery ticket. "Laureldale has some great shops. You can find basically anything for outdoor sports without even having to cross the river. We can stop for ice cream, too." Yay. "There's also an—" "You don't have a coat?" Harrison put up a hand, cutting off Paige. "Oh." Paige's face fell. "Oh, no. Shit. Right? I know a raincoat should have made the school shopping list, but I forgot what fall is like in the Northeast." I slid past Paige, squeezing in beside my locker, angling my face away from both of them as I fumbled with the lock while trying not to get the envelope wet. "Does Laureldale get a lot of storms like this? Should I buy rain boots too?" "If you like to—" "Ella," Harrison cut Paige off again. "We had an appointment yesterday." Shit. "I'm so sorry." I looked to Harrison, going for an apologetic wince. "I completely forgot." "Understandable," Harrison said. "Why don't we head to my office and have our meeting now?" "Because it's her welcome week," Paige said. "That was a rhetorical question, Miss Paxman." "You have very little faith in your teachers, Principal Harrison." A jolt of blissfully ordinary fear squeezed my gut as all traces of kindly joy melted from Harrison's face. "Principal Harrison, do you think... could Mrs. Parker keep my welcome chair set aside for one more day?" I leaned, maybe a little too heavily, into wistful disappointment. "Or do you mind asking? I wanted to get a picture of, Or do you mind asking? I wanted to get a picture of it to show Kate." A tiny, gaspish whimper came from Paige, but I kept my gaze fixed on Harrison, watching him teeter between his need to cling to authority and instinct to melt into the soft-hearted, misty-eyed sap that so clearly resided in his heart. I looked down at the golden envelope in my hand. Spirit. Should I hold for heartbreak? Should I put the envelope back? "Principal Harrison," Paige whispered. I looked up at him. His shoulders sagged. "Get to homeroom," Paige squeaked with excitement. "But we are still going to have our meeting," Harrison said. I could be grateful for a temporary reprieve. "Thank you, sir." I opened the spirit envelope with an extra flourish. "Oh, this spirit path is going to be great." Paige pulled out her phone, completely ignoring Harrison as he strode away, head held high even in defeat. I slid out the contents of the envelope. It wasn't a card with a creepy poem, but something closer to ticket stubs. The first held the event title of Locker Room Lunch, the second, VIP Practice Pass, and the third, Diner Debrief. Each ticket had the same ram silhouette watermark. Each had a little box at the bottom filled with the same message. Laureldale Spirit, presented by Jason Archer. A trickle of shame wilted my confidence as pure relief-fueled glee that I wasn't going to be stuck with Violet eased the shiver-born tension in my back. I just realized that's one too many hyphens. There we go. Sorry. "First stop is, of course, homeroom and your throne." Paige stepped to my other side, planting her back to the retreating Harrison.
Sorry.
Meanie,
Baby
what
girl
did she
who's
find?
been freaking out now found something to torment us with.
Good.
We're doing a great job.
Okay,
Okay,
good. All right.
continue.
"First stop is, of course, homeroom and your throne." Paige stepped to my other side, planting her back to the retreating Harrison. Retreating. Poor Principal Harrison. "I spoke to Mrs. Kowalski last night, and since your books were stacked with my books, she found them in no time." She wasn't looking for just my books, right? Everything will be waiting with your throne, and Mrs. Kowalski marked your books for you. I thought it safe to take that as a, yes, I did call the school secretary and demand a favor after the school fire. I gave my lock an extra hard spin and turned toward the path to class. Paige beamed, falling in step beside me. You're going to have such an amazing time today? How couldn't I? I have fancy tickets. Oh, absolutely, but... Paige glanced over her shoulder, then left, then right again. Wait, sorry. Leave me alone.
No, I saw meaning on your leg.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, guys. She's so petty. We just can't kick her out. She'll scream and panic. Okay, sorry.
The children were screaming. Okay.
Oh, Maggie Smith. Okay, continue.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, rest in peace. How couldn't I? I have fancy tickets. Absolutely. But Paige glanced over her right shoulder, then left, then right again. Are you okay after yesterday? Things got a little tense between Jason and Violet. You don't know what tense a werewolf looks like. Meh, I shrugged. Deflect. Whatever drama they have can't compare to an actual fire in the school. Redirect. Do they even know how the fire started? As of 15 minutes ago, Tessa hadn't heard. We rounded the corner to homeroom. Fluttery Hair Haley, the girl who'd said stupid shit loud enough to get me dragged into Harrison's office, sauntered down the corridor from the opposite direction, her expression shifting from early morning... Man, I had a problem with that earlier, too. Early morning. Got it. Fluttery Hair Haley, the girl who'd said stupid shit loud enough to get me dragged into Harrison's office, sauntered down the corridor from the opposite direction, her expression shifting from early morning annoyance to vengeance-worthy loathing. The comedy of Haley glaring at me like I should be so very afraid of her twitched the corners of my lips up in an ill-timed, English is hard. The comedy of Haley glaring at me like I should be so very afraid of her twitched the corners of my lips up in an I just said ups, didn't I? No.
Do you want me to read this? Okay, I'm going to read this one.
I've got it.
I'm going to do this one for you.
Okay.
The comedy of Haley glaring at me like I should be so very afraid of her twitched the corners of my lips up in an ill-timed, ill-concealed grin.
Good job. Proud of you.
Okay.
Coming after my job. I don't appreciate it. Okay. Where are we? Okay.
I swear I watched
you. No, I got it.
Loathing grow.
Stop it. Get back to your corner. I love you too.
Okay, continue.
I swear I watched Haley's loathing grow talons that pierced her soul, evolving in...
I swear I watched Haley's loathing grow talons that pierced her soul, evolving into an enduring, festering hatred. Oh, I'm not worth that, sweetheart. No.
All right. I'm taking over from the no. A panicked little whimper wobbled Paige's voice. I glanced from Haley to Paige, ready to tell Paige Haley could hate me all she wanted if she kept fuming with such comedic flair, but Paige had her glare locked on the classroom door, or the too-pale wall of anxiety that was Jason waiting beside the door. His whole body had this subtle bounce to it, like it was taking every bit of willpower he had to stay in place. Absolutely not, Paige muttered. You will not do this to me, Jason. I will murder you, Jason. Do what? I whispered, then bit my lips together to prevent accidental laughter as Haley gave me an extra hard glare before strutting past Jason and into class. Jason Orion Archer. Paige planted her feet, glowering up at him. It's Spirit Path Day, and whatever the hell has you making that face isn't going to keep Ella from sitting in that damn throne. It was the hospital. Jason kept his voice low and his face tipped away from the classroom door like he didn't want anyone but her to hear. What was the hospital, Jason? Paige didn't make the same effort. The lightning strikes. One of those big trees on the north side got hit, and it collapsed part of the hospital roof, or maybe just smashed through a window. I don't know, but it's bad. Shit, I said. Jason's face went from white to gray as he met my gaze. One of the casualties' names came in with the call. One? The tree hit Mr. Carver. Mr. Carver's dead. Motherfucker! Paige stormed into class. And that is the end of chapter 10. So just in case you were not aware. And Meanie has lost her mind. So thank you again for dealing with us as our poor babe and just needs so much love. It's so funny. Our other two are who knows where. I don't know.
Well, Bubba's hiding in terror.
Yeah, sure.
And Babs is trying to figure out who she's going to have to eat first when we run out of food.
Oh, my goodness.
The answer is probably Bubba, because she could take him, and he weighs more than Meanie, so he's better eating.
Okay, great. So with that, so there were a few things I wanted to talk to you about in this before. We're actually doing pretty good on time, which is amazing because that was a long chapter. That was, if not the longest, the second longest chapter that you've written so far. And I was doing so well, and then all of a sudden at the end, my brain just started petering out.
I don't think it was that your brain started petering out. I think it's that we can currently, where we're recording, because we use some of the light from the window, we can currently see the hurricane sky, and it's like awkwardly nice
But the
out.
thing is, the hurricane hasn't even made landfall, and it won't for another few
but it
hours.
looks so pretty out. It's making me nervous.
Yeah.
It feels like a lie.
Yeah, well, it could still wobble south more, which I kind of don't want it to because we have friends in Fort Myers, and they don't need that again.
Yeah, but nowhere on the coast
nobody
needs
on the coast needs it.
Baby girl. Sorry, we call our cat Baby Girl, and she's losing her mind. Okay, let's continue.
All right, so the first thing that I wanted to ask about, this is Kate healing Ella. This is the first instance of magic that we see in the book, right? Now, was that your plan? Was to have something to do with Ella? Do you know what I mean? Like, or is this just kind of how it came about because it made the most sense?
It wasn't that. So I wanted magic to be integrated into the world in a very natural way for Ella. So it's not like a big deal that magic is there.
Right.
Like she's used to it. In Ella's little world, magic, witches, werewolves, all of this is normal. More normal for her than it is even for
most
the other
Etherians, yeah.
Etherian kids in town.
Because she knows Kate.
Well, because she knows Kate, because she's been moved from community to community to community.
Right.
Because she's been involved in the big bad shit in so many different places.
Right,
Like
the big bad shit.
Well, that's what happens when you're a seer. You get involved in the big bad shit, and then it gets more people involved. So you're going to end up spending time with a greater variety of Etherians. So magic is super normal to her.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And so I wanted that to be, I wanted the first instance of magic to be something normal.
Yeah.
I mean, not that, having your nose broken should be normal, but like healing
no.
on the kitchen table level normal, not like battle level normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So going back to that moment, though, I thought that it was interesting. And Ella even kind of hints at this a little bit, but that her eyes are covered. So I would not have really thought, I would have not thought so much about it, except that on the last episode, you talked about how Kate was being very careful to keep anything magic out of Ella's sight. Is that why she covers her eyes? She doesn't want her knowing? That's like, and she whispers the words?
No, it's more of it really is more of a soothing thing of like,
you understand why I asked.
Yeah, but in headcanon, which I guess I'm the author, so that's what matters.
Yeah.
But it's not pure water on that. It is like a soothing thing.
Oh, okay.
So it's almost like an anesthetic where it's calming her patient. It's relaxing their muscles. It's letting the magic work more, which you wouldn't be able to do in a high pain situation where like someone is dying. You're not going to have time to do that. But letting the body relax as it heals itself is going to be a lot more productive. So it's that like, okay, melt into the table. Now let's gently work these things together instead of like having to force the magic to do it, which would be more painful in the long run. Does that make sense? Because she's allowing the body to heal its own speed, to speed its own healing.
Right.
Rather than force healing.
Sure, that makes sense.
So it is like that, okay, let's put you in a relaxed state. Let's get this done.
Okay.
So it isn't that she's hiding the magic from her. It's that is part of that calming as a part of the healing process. Allowing the body to relax into a state where it can work.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. And something that this just prompted just now for me to ask you is that, thank you, Siri. You're not invited to this conversation. But does Kate, and maybe we shouldn't know this yet, but is Kate like mainly a healer? Does she practice mainly that kind of, I guess like in other stories, it would be considered like a light magic or like good magic versus dark, stuff? Or is that something that is she known for being a healer?
I mean, within the town, yeah, because she's the only one who can do it.
Okay.
So, like, yeah, if werewolves get too fucked up, they're going to go to Kate.
Okay. That makes sense.
Because she is the local one who can do those things.
Okay.
But that is not like her calling or her primary magic. It's just you hope that that's what she normally does.
Okay.
If Kate's only hanging out healing, you're having a great week.
Okay, so she's had to do other things before.
Yes, but like the preference is chilling out at home, reading parenting books and healing people. Like that would be key, like clutch system for her.
So I think we might have brought this up earlier, but I wanted to touch on Violet not being as afraid of the Reapers. So the thing that I wrote down here was that I wanted to know, is this, if her family's not afraid of the Reapers, is this something, her dealings with a Sybil now and threatening a Sybil, is this something that could potentially bring the Reapers down on her family?
Yeah.
Yeah. So and Ella knows this.
Yeah.
And so that's why she's bringing this up.
Yeah.
Okay. And Violet doesn't understand.
Violet doesn't understand that it's not the boogeyman.
So she when she says, talking about being afraid of the boogeyman, and Ella's like, oh, you really are stupid. She means
Yeah, like she doesn't get that.
Okay. Sorry, that's stepping back a chapter.
The Reapers are real and you don't hurt a Sybil.
Right.
Like Sybil's are born of this treaty, of this pact. That is, they are meant to protect the Etherean community.
Right.
Hurting a Sybil means you are damaging that protection.
Right. And we're not getting too much into Reapers because I remember last time you said you didn't want to do that.
No, but like, yes, that is hurting a Sybil could absolutely bring a Reaper down on your head.
Okay.
Most people think that the Reapers are just boogeymen. They don't really exist.
Oh, so this is not a well-known...
Well, because no one's seen a Reaper. Because you don't live if there are Reapers.
Has Ella seen a Reaper?
No, because you don't live if you've seen a Reaper.
I have a feeling that there's going to be a moment when we do see a Reaper and people live, but I'm holding on to that thought. I think that's going to happen.
This is like Ella's parents didn't even have a friend who knew someone who had seen a Reaper.
Oh, wow.
So that's the thing, is like they don't exist, but they exist.
They've got to be really hot. Oh, yeah.
But they will when
Anybody
they wipe.
That's
the thing is that when they wipe out everyone, they wipe out everyone. And so if you know, okay.
They literally leave no witnesses.
Yes. So then if you know, like, these people did something, now they're all gone.
Okay.
Then it's like, okay, then it was Reapers.
Right. Okay.
But no one has seen these people.
I was going to say, oh, yeah. So we have one paragraph in which there are 4 fucks. And I was like, this is such a sharp departure. And then after saying that, after writing that down, we were doing read aloud edits. And I was like, this needs an extra fuck. I was like, I don't know. And we had I wanted to revisit that conversation because we talked about that again today during read aloud edits of like, so this isn't like you're good with this because you weren't before. And I was like, yeah, but the thing is you don't seem to really care how many you're putting in there, but then you actually had a really good answer to that.
Well, okay, so I'm going to jump back a little bit.
Go ahead.
In things like The Curse on Thief, which is the Book One in the Fracture Pact series, I made it a rule through all of those books that each book gets 1 fuck, so it's fitting with like the rated R rules or PG-13 rules.
Yeah, I don't know.
And it's actually kind of fun in that one because what I do when I write them is I write in all the fucks I want. And then I whittle it down. So it's like the greatest champion.
Oh my
and in
gosh.
book 1, it's Quiet Fucking Coyote.
No, that's book 2.
Yes. Okay. So book 2.
Because Ford is solidly a part of that.
Yes.
And there's a talking stick.
So book 2, it's Quiet Fucking Coyote.
Because they tell Eve to go fetch a stick.
Yes. But anyway, so I love getting it whittled down to like pick that one. But with this, I feel like it would be so unrealistic to censor Ella's language because if you look at all that she's been through, and it's not even that she is a seer, that she's lost her parents. She grew up in werewolf Etherean bars. Mm-hmm. She was raised by wolves. Mm-hmm. She was constantly moved around, so her primary connections were all adults.
Right.
All Etherean, mostly werewolf adults. So, like, she doesn't have this concept of censored language, especially not in her internal monologue.
Sure.
Because she also she is a little bit werewolf. So she does also have that temper too.
Right.
And so it just, I don't know, censoring her feels really disingenuous. And it gets to the point where it's like, well, if there are 3 fucks in the sentence,
why not
put in a fucking
one?
4th one, like at that point.
Yeah.
And I know that I do have younger YA readers, and I know that makes this project and this book and this podcast inappropriate for them. But it is what it is for this story.
Sure.
And I've always tried to base the language choice off of the characters and the situation. And
it makes total sense.
Much like Heart of Smoke, where it's like, screw it, all language is fair, then it is the same with this one.
Well, it's the end of the world, and
well, in Heart of Smoke, it's the end of the world.
Sorry,
and in this one, it's the end of Ella's world. So,
Right.
And both of them have grown up in these rough and tumble worlds. So...
No, it makes sense. It is like, having been with you through over 30 novels, like, it is definitely strange for me. Like, it's hard for me to be like, yeah, this is what we're doing now. I'm getting more used to it. I really am. Like, per, our conversation.
Welcome to the internal monologue in my head.
Oh, gosh. I don't ever want to be in your head. That's a terrifying place.
I know.
So I had 2 more questions for you. One of which, well, actually, this is even a question. This is, I wanted to let you all know that my wife gave me an acting note today. Yes, that's right. She gave me a line reading. Now, a line reading in acting is just when you tell somebody, no. You want to say, he went through that door, not he went through that door. Like, does that make sense? So it's like, no, you want to stress it exactly this way. So she did that to me today, but it makes perfect sense. And I laughed after I delivered the line that way. But it was the whole, that was a rhetorical question, Miss Paxman. You have very little faith in your teachers, Principal Harrison.
Well, because otherwise it doesn't read right.
No, you're right.
Because she is throwing it straight back at him like, yeah, I know, Principal Harrison.
So then did you, because as we know, it is difficult to get sarcasm across in text. Mm-hmm. So in order to achieve that, getting that sarcastic point across, is that what this is about? Talking about the jolt of blissfully ordinary fear squeezed my gut as all traces of kindly joy melted from Principal Harrison's face.
That's a okay, so getting anyone other than my audiobook narrator, I'll eventually hire, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
For this, to say it exactly that way.
We should see if Alexandra's available. I would love her to narrate this.
Anyway, but getting anyone else to read it exactly that way isn't going to be possible because it's going to be however the reader translates it.
That's fair. Yeah.
Translates it in their
like
head.
How some people say Ina.
Yeah, it is what it is. However makes you happy. But for the podcast, because I did have the opportunity, I wanted it to be read that way. In my head, that emphasis is obvious because I'm the one who wrote it and it reads that way. But yes, her fear after that is to emphasize that Paige did very much talking back.
Yeah. But Paige doesn't care.
Paige doesn't care.
I love Paige. Okay. All right. So then my last point, I don't know if you're going to be able to answer this question. I really don't think that you're going to. Oh my gosh. Okay, everybody take a drink. So from now on, grab your beer with us and take a drink anytime that Megan's like, you make me nervous. I'm nervous. I'm nervous. Okay. All right.
What? It's hurricane time.
Simmer down. I know it is. That's true. Don't worry. We're well stocked. So we're not going to be stupid about it, but we're well stocked. So what I wrote down was, Jesus, Mr. Carver was destined to die, huh? Why? Don't answer that. But like, man, just like I am gleaning from what happened that she was not supposed to save him. That this is one of those things where she was not supposed to interfere, or there are darker forces at work. Like, I am so curious about this, and I don't think you can talk about it. Right? Correct? That you got a Cheshire grin right now.
So here's the thing.
Oh man.
No.
Should we warn about
You're
spoilers?
Gonna love this.
Okay.
It's not a spoiler.
Okay.
The thing is, you're wrong.
Okay.
You are 100% wrong.
Okay. I mean, I'm not unused to being wrong.
The reasoning is
I am
not going to be brought up for a while.
Okay.
The situation is not going to be brought up for a while. The circumstance, the everything is not going to come back in a while. This is one of those things where if I was writing a book series the way I normally do, I would put this in and I wouldn't get to say anything about it to anyone until 3 books later when I finally got to use the Easter egg. But because we're doing it on the podcast. Congratulations. This moment becomes very important down the line.
3 books from now?
It's probably going to be in the second book, depending on how the timeline works out.
So we're not going to talk. Mr. Carver's just not like a talking point?
No, he is a talking point. Mr. Carver's dead.
Yeah.
He got squished.
He got squished. Kind of like the guy on the Titanic shipyard. That's horrible.
Yeah, he got squished.
That's we're doing Omen's tour at Titanic right now, and I learned through that one of the guys, and not that it's in the tour script, but a fellow artifact specialist, like, yeah, there was a guy who, as Titanic was launching, a piece of timber fell and crushed him. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Shipyards. If you work in a shipyard, please be safe.
Yeah. Okay. So not like that. Okay. A tree in a hospital.
Yeah, but still.
But yeah, he got squished.
Oh, gosh.
But yes, no, the fact that Mr. Carver got squished is...
Squeezed.
I don't know now. It's just entertaining me. But the fact that he died is important.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're never going to hear about that for the rest of this book.
Yeah.
But the
reasoning for it isn't going to come up.
The true importance of it...
Sorry, it's just already...
will not come into play.
Okay.
For a very long time.
Okay.
And I'm so proud of myself for getting this properly planted.
Look at you.
Now.
Look at you. Good job. Soft high five. But the fact that, like, because you have Easter eggs in your books a lot.
Yeah, but I never get to tell anybody when they first happen.
Yeah.
I have to, like, 2 books later be like, huh? Do you remember that thing I did forever ago?
Am I allowed to reveal the one from Wrath and Wing? Can I do that on this podcast?
Sure.
Yeah, like, and I don't think I've talked about this before, but Isla, who is a major character come book 3, Viper and Steel, right? Is the first time that we see her in Myth and Storm, don't we? Yeah, we see her in Myth and Storm, but she starts becoming a more major character as of book 3 in Guilds of Ilbrea. But she is the girl that gets captured by the sorcerer in Nantic. Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Nantic, that Enna watches this girl float in a bubble, like back. That's Isla. And that is so cool to me. So stuff like that happens all the time.
Yeah, but I knew that for years, and it didn't matter to anyone until Isla came in, because I can be like, hey, that redhead's going to come back later, but it doesn't matter to anyone. And here, it doesn't really matter
I'm
either.
really excited to find out the true identity of the Revenant.
It's not important until it's important, but I get to say it right now, like, ha, it's coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be a while.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, so that is actually all the questions that I have for you. Was there anything else that you wanted to add? Like anything about the hurricane?
So my current plan is right now, and I haven't cleared this with you yet. So
okay, well, whatever.
My current plan is if we still miraculously have power tomorrow, because we have passed the 1/3 point in the book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We have. And so my plan is to sit down and have a nice hurricane beverage with you and sort of do a rundown of everything that we have done in the season so far as sort of a launching in point. So if we have people who want to join in the Sketchbook of a Wayward Seer and page-by-page podcast journey, they can start there instead of having to go back 10 episodes.
We might as well. If we have power, let's do it.
So I want to record that.
Yeah.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to schedule that for Tuesday.
For next Tuesday?
So that if all the power goes out and we have no access,
then that'll be
that
next week's
in-between episode will magically go up.
That'll be great.
But if we have power back and we can record an episode, then we'll move that forward to Monday.
I love it.
And so then there will be a special Monday and Tuesday in a row.
Yeah.
And we'll have our regularly scheduled chapter on time.
Yeah.
But that way people won't be without a Tuesday episode. We get that whole thing in. I think it's going to be glorious, and hopefully we'll have power. And we can get that all done. But the nice thing is, since it is a catch-up episode, we can always, rig up some iPhone recording and get it done with no power if we have to.
That's very true. We'll
figure something out. Yeah. But hopefully we will be on time with the next episode.
Yes,
thank you again
for your
being
patience.
so patient.
We
had to do like sandbags.
Well, not only that, but while I was working out of the house yesterday. This was yesterday. No, 2 days ago?
I don't know. Time has no meaning. There's a hurricane coming.
It was 2 days ago. It was on Monday.
We're about to get flooded for days.
I had an 8-hour shift out of the house where I'm a tour guide for Titanic. So that's anyway. But while I was doing that, Megan was like breaking her back, getting everything ready in case we had to evacuate, which we never got an evacuation order, which I'm very glad about. We
still have our bags ready.
We still have our bags ready just in case. Yeah. And also we're in a 3-story unit, very, very solid building. So if worst comes to worst and we start seeing water, then we'll just get up.
Yeah.
We have 2 levels to go up, and the water's not getting that high in Orlando. I promise you, it's not happening.
If the water gets that high in Orlando,
Then
Florida's gone forever.
Yeah, no
and it's
kidding.
been nice knowing you all.
That's so true. Yeah. Then Disney is gone, and that would be sad.
Well, I mean, then everyone in Florida's gone, and that would be worse.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're right.
You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, I mean, I'm right. Not you're right. I'm right. Okay, well, we should wrap it up before we start emphasizing that.
Talking about Cybertrucks again? I'm kidding. All right.
Wait a second.
Wait, what?
If Cybertrucks can go in water, does that mean that Cybertrucks can drive through all this flooding?
Wait, can they?
I think that's true.
Are they
can
aquatic?
go in a little bit of water.
A little bit of water.
That means that Florida's safe. We have so many Cybertrucks in this neighborhood. We can
Do you
just
think
hop on.
they're going to give rides to anybody?
I can run, jump. I'm going to ride on the hood of a Cybertruck out of here. It's going to be great.
Okay. Great.
Well, with
So,
that, probably really illegal thing that I
let's just not do that. Yeah, let's.
It's fine. We have plenty of food. We're just going to stay here.
That's true.
And baby girl's about to knock over the ring light. So that is our cute. Ooh, hi, ow. Okay. Thank you so much for being with us for this special hurricane episode of the Page by Page podcast.
We should entitle this episode Cat 3 because we have 3 cats in here. I'm sorry. I'll be here all day. Thank you.
We'll be here for the next few days.
Yes,
thank
we
you.
will. Cheers.
But thank you for bearing with us and stay safe if you are in Florida. And until next time, stay dry.
Yeah, yes. And as always, thank you for reading.